Last time you saw me, it was late summer, early fall, and I was in the midst of the hardest part of farming and gardening, and feeling both happy with the harvest and overwhelmed with the work. Welcome back to Boyle Farm. It is now early, well, technically late winter, and we still are having snow days, which is, I should expect it. It should be expected in Oregon, but it's still frustrating sometimes because I would really like to jump into spring, but Oregon has other plans for us. So here I am. The last 7-9 months, however long it's been since our last video, things have changed a lot, and I feel like I left off on a very abrupt note because all the veggies are coming in, all the flowers are coming in, and there was so much to do. And I think by that point I was just ready to be done. And it sounds crazy because now I just cannot wait to get started, and I feel like it's probably the same feelings every year, but because of different situations and things that we ended up doing last fall, there was just not a lot of time for me to do any videos, so really there wasn't a whole lot missed, and it was just a very long winter. But I am to the point where I can at least start doing some things inside, which is very, very exciting. One of the biggest things that we have been able to accomplish over the winter during these long cold months is that Micah put in flooring throughout our upstairs, except for in the bedrooms, which we still have to work on. But our kitchen looks completely different than before. Our living room and dining room look different. I'm still working on finishing up some of those projects, but it looks so good, and it feels so much more like my home than an unfinished house that we just moved into, which is super exciting because it makes me happy to be doing things there like baking, cooking, spending time upstairs, or even just living in this house. It shouldn't, but it does bring a little bit of calmness to where we are right now, and I really appreciate that because it gives me a little bit more motivation to, one, keep doing projects to make it more my home, and two, get started on making the outside as aesthetically pleasing as the inside. So one of those things is going to be the garden. In general, our plans for this property have changed so much, even from even from last year, but definitely since we moved in, and we've gone back and forth on a lot of different things, like what we actually want to do with the property and how we're going to do it, animals, garden, flowers, all that kind of stuff. And really, not a lot has changed there because a lot of it is still up in the air. But I know for this year, the garden, I want to make it more of a true cottage garden versus just a let's produce as much of certain things that we can. And because of different things that are happening this year for us, I feel like that's going to bring the most encouragement into my life, but also I'm gonna get the most out of the garden and what I can do with it. So I spent a couple days in the last few weeks cleaning up some of the garden beds, which I didn't do last fall because I was done and I was not in any mindset to do any of that cleanup that I should have probably done. But that's okay because I'm focusing on cleaning up the beds that I will use. This year I don't necessarily plan on using all of the beds that we had in last year. I found that there's certain veggies that I don't need as much of as I had planted last year, so that will change. And just the general layout of the garden, that's all gonna mostly be the same, but I want to make it prettier. I want to make it more cottage style, just meaning that things are mixed in. I don't have beds specifically for flowers. I don't have beds specifically for specific veggies. It's all gonna work together, and I'm pretty excited about that. So what my plan is today, I need to feed the animals. That's one of the things that have changed. We have one new pig and he's very large and in charge, but he's just the cutest thing ever. So that has changed. We have our chickens still, we have our 3 goats, and we have 2 rabbits. So I'm gonna feed the animals, and then today I'm actually gonna just start some seeds in the greenhouse. I started around a couple weeks ago. I'm really trying to make sure that I don't get ahead of myself, because all I want to do sometimes is just start all the seeds and get everything ready. But I know that with how we utilize that food and stuff, having so much at one time isn't going to be beneficial. It's not going to be cost effective, and it just doesn't make sense. So I started around a couple weeks ago of lettuce, broccoli, cabbage, kind of the more cold weather plants, and I'm going to start another round this week. Those have already started growing, which I'm super excited about. So I'm hoping I can keep starting every 2 weeks until we get ready to plant outside and start seeing some fruits from that, which will be super fun. All right, new day, same video. We left off, I was feeding the animals, and then no farm work got done after that because other stuff comes up like it always does. But that is the reality of running a farm. 1, in general, just doing farm work yourself in general. 2, doing it by yourself. And 3, while working a full-time job. So no surprise that my plan always gets changed and I have to shift every single day, which is fine. So I fed the animals, and that was pretty much it. But I wanted to make sure to get out here today because I want to start my next round of seeds. I started around 2 weeks ago, and those are doing really well. So those are all just cold hardy plants. I have some cabbages that are popping up and doing good. I have some spinach, some lettuce, some broccoli, kale, that kind of stuff. So that's all stuff we actually go through on a pretty regular basis. So I did 2 to 3 of each one of those, and I'm going to start another round today. So my goal is to every 2 weeks start some of those, because we go through those all the time, and most of them we can freeze even if we don't eat them all when they're ready. So that's what I'm doing right now. I also had started a round of flowers, and I started those inside, and as you can see, they are getting super long because they are reaching for sunlight. These are sweet peas. I'm gonna put them into bigger pots because they need more room to grow, because they have just gotten too long for these. And then I'll probably try and start another round of sweet peas. Those are just some of my favorite flowers, so I know I probably want them at the end of every one of my garden beds that I'm going to be planting in this year, just for the aesthetic purposes. Obviously I'm going to use them to sell with my bouquets as well, but mostly I just love them and they make me happy, and they're going to make the garden have that like 3-dimensional feel because they're going to grow up. I'm going to put trellises at the end of the beds, and they're just going to give it a really pretty look. So I'm definitely going to do more of these just because I love them. But then I have other flowers that I'm going to start also. So that's pretty much it for today. My original goal was to probably get some of the animals moved around. I need to build a new pen for the goats, to move them down the pasture so I can move our pig, Winston, down into the next pen that the goats were occupying, and just keep rotating them like that. Winston is going through that area a lot faster than I thought, and originally I thought he could stay there for a month, and by the time we needed to move him, Micah would be here to help me, but I think he's just going through it too much, and I obviously he needs to dig up the ground, and that's going to be helpful
phosphorus down the road, but I also don't want him to be swimming in mud. So I want to try and do that, but this is the first time I'm gonna have to do it by myself, and that makes me super nervous. So we'll see how it goes. I'm hoping I can get it done within the next week, but I also know there's a lot of other stuff that I have to balance along with that. So we'll see how it goes. I know for sure my older boys are going to help me, so it's not completely on my own, which is super helpful, but it still feels pretty daunting to do it without Micah. So we'll just see how it goes. But this morning we have some gorgeous sunlight, and I'm just going to enjoy some time out here in the greenhouse, getting some plants started and really feeling like it's almost spring. Aren't these roots great? You can't see them as much on this one, but they are looking super good. So I'm just going to move them over to give them more room to grow. The sun is coming out super nice right now and just makes my heart so happy. I know it's probably only going to be sunny for like maybe a couple days, but it still makes me super happy. Alright, I need to take a break to go feed the animals again, but I will be back in here to finish up potting some of these and get some of those cold hardy veggies started too, so be back. Okay, so I have stuff I desperately need to finish up. The animals are fed, and I'm going to get to planting the rest of these plants that I wanted to up pot and then seed, and then I have to go for a run today because I need that just as much as I need to be out here in the garden. Both just emotionally, I mean physically, but mostly emotionally. So I'm going to finish up here. I am so grateful that you joined me this weekend for some garden farm fun. Real quick, a couple things I forgot. This garden belt my husband got for me for Christmas this year. Literally one of the best gifts I've ever gotten. Super handy, so useful. Highly recommend it. I'm going to put a link in the descriptions. And then two, I completely forgot to mention that these sweet peas that I started are from seeds that I had saved from last fall. And I'm super excited about it because I mean, like, I figured they would work and stuff, and I know how seeds work, but it's still super exciting that, one, I mean, I get to save that little bit of money and not have to get new seeds, but two, that is just an ongoing gift from the original sweet pea plant that I had, and it's going to keep on giving because even after this season in the fall, I can save these seeds, and it's just a never-ending just gift. And I don't know, just that concept is such a beautiful thing to me. But that made me super excited that they're doing so well, and it's all from seeds that I had started. Okay, that was everything. Hope you have a wonderful day.